Hi guys, Scotty here with another DBZ Dokkan battle video, and today we're going to be looking at who you should choose with your Dragonstone 7 Redstones that you received for the 10th anniversary. If you logged in during the anniversary at all, we all received 3 of these Redstones with a wide selection of units that we can choose from. So let me go through a couple of them for you today. We can take a look at who I recommend in what order, and we'll start out with the Super Extreme Z Awaken units. We'll go on to the LRs that I think are good to look at, and then finally we'll end with if there are any EZA that are of particular interest. So I know this is quite late on my part, but a lot of people have either forgotten that they have these stones and they're just sitting there in their box, or have waited till the end of anniversary to kind of see who's going to EZA, who's going to Super EZA, and now I'm going to make a decision within the next 21 days, I think it is, that this will be ending. They'll be making a decision, so hopefully this guy can help you with that, and yeah, let's get into it. So just to quickly clarify, you need to go to your barber shop here, and you just need to swap over to the redstone here where it says 7, and you'll have a bunch of options to choose from. So I'm going to go through these now quickly. Let's switch over to the actual characters we'll be going through. So personally, this is the order I would choose them in. I've ranked Z tier 4 units, S tier 4 units, and then the rest pretty much grab them if you want. The bottom units are not ranked from left to right. I haven't done that, but the top Z tier and S tier are ranked from left to right. Personally think that that's the best order to get them in, and you do have 3 stones, so you can pick up a lot of these. But why I'm suggesting the Super Extreme Z Awakens first is they're going to be the most powerful units out of all those units you can select, because they are pretty much the first 5 anniversaries worth of units in that time frame, so they kind of need to have been super EZA'd to be relevant, do any damage. But there are a couple of exceptions, and I will go through them. So let's just start it quickly. Starting with INT Gohan, he did Super EZA recently. He is going to be a fantastic option because he is a Rainbow Orb Changer. He's a fantastic support for super class allies. He gets evasion when facing extreme units, as well as he massively raises attack the more key spheres you get. He'll be doing way more damage. You can see down here, attack 158, more and more. The more key spheres you give him, and he does Rainbow Orb Change as well. So he's going to be sort of feeding into himself, doing more damage, and yeah, he is a great unit to choose. Next, we're going to have INT Buuhan. INT Buuhan and INT Gohan were a very tight number 1. INT Buuhan is possibly one of the best TUR at the moment. Not considering the new Diamond units that are released, so let's not say that, but he is a fantastic Super EZA. He does so much with his kit. He is a Rainbow Orb Changer, firstly. He has a massive heal at the end of turn, 15% of your health at the end of every turn. He has a massive heal for each key sphere that you obtain as well. It's about 12,000 if you see here that he gets for every key sphere you get, as well as stacking attack and defense per key sphere that you get. He also has an increased chance of crit and damage reduction per Rainbow Orb, so once you give him 3 Rainbow Orbs, he's going to be up to his full 66% damage reduction, so make sure he's getting that. And as well as he boosts and supports Key +3 and attack 30% against super class enemies. So that is great as well. All round crazy unit with a lot of utility and just a very good unit. Next we have TEQ Beerus. He's got Guard when he's paired with any movie bosses, Realm of Gods, or Exploding Rage category units. So you're going to want to build them around those 3 teams. He builds up his stacks when he gets hit, so he's going to get stronger as he takes more hits. He is a solid slot 1 tank because he's got 60% damage reduction when above 60% health. So with that 60% damage reduction, as well as that Guard mentioned before, he's going to be slot 1-ing quite well. He also provides support of super class allies and extreme class allies, as well as having a rage mode. So all around very solid unit. Last but definitely not least is INT Janemba. He has built-in Guard, 70% chance to dodge before attacking, with an additional 20% when obtaining key spheres as the first or third attacker. He's got support for his allies as the first or third slot. He gets additional stats when getting hit or when he's dodging, as well as additional supers on dodge. So he'll be doing an additional super for 4 turns every time he dodges, so that should be up practically permanently if you have him on rotation. So that's Z tier. Those are the 4 units I recommend you definitely, if you're missing one of them, definitely get them. They are fantastic. They can be used in multitude of situations, and they're just fantastic units. So definitely pick them up if you don't have a copy. I wouldn't quite say go dupe hunting or anything like that unless you really are kitted out already and you have a ton of these units. Then of course grab dupes. I did grab one dupe myself, but get new units rather if you can, especially if you don't have anything on. If you are missing one or two on the Z tier, grab them. Let's go on to S tier quickly. So starting out, S tier is going to be Super Gogeta, and this was a very, very close battle with Super Janemba there. We could really interchange this unit. Is a fantastic unit. Super Gogeta is just a little bit more inconsistent than Janemba, I would say. So let's go through quickly now. He's effective against all types, so he's always doing super effective damage, which is fantastic. He's got his own built-in additionals, so he's got a high chance to launch a super attack, and if he's placed in second or third slot, those are guaranteed. He scales per key sphere, so he gets 50% attack and defense per orb, and then 10% crit chance per orb, so he hits harder and the more orbs he has. He's got his defensive growth per stack, so he gains 50% defense per attack performed, and stacks up to 30% damage reduction. So that is, he's going to get that damage reduction as he attacks. He's got, against superclass enemies, he's doing 77% attack and a 70% chance to guard. Against extreme class enemies, he's getting 77% attack and defense, guaranteed crit, and permanent guard. So that's where the inconsistencies come in a little bit, is against superclass enemies, he's getting a chance to dodge with, chance to guard with 30% damage reduction. So he could get caught out here that it's not quite as defensively strong, but if he's got that permanent guard, he's usually okay. He's also got strong team support, so he's giving key +2 and attack 40% to all allies as a second or third slot, so that's great. So all in all, he's a good unit, but just a little bit more inconsistent. Next we have AGL Vegito. So AGL Vegito has strong damage reduction and counters. So he starts off with 40% damage reduction. When receiving any normal attacks, he gains an additional 40% reduction and he counters. So he can be a slot 1. If there's normals, he can get caught out by supers every now and then if you're not careful. But yeah, he does have 80% most of the time, unless it's not a normal attack. If it's a super attack, he's going to take quite a lot more damage. He's got his scaling attack and defense and crit chance. So he's gaining 25% attack and defense per hit received. And he builds up crit chance by 15% per hit, so up to 60%. So he gets stronger and more powerful as he is receiving hits. He gets massive buffs upon attacking, so when launching an attack with 12 or more ki, he gets 150% attack. He's got survivability at low HP, so when his HP drops below 50%, he gains guaranteed guard and sees enemy super attack for 2 turns, so Scouter is quite nice. Only thing is, when he takes that damage, sometimes it just straight up kills you, so you never get below 50%, you just die. But Scouter is very nice, and he can be a clutch if you don't just outright die. He does have team support as well based on enemy type, so he's got, against superclass enemies, he's giving ki +2 and defense +20% to allies, and against extreme class enemies, he's giving ki +3 and defense +30%. So he's useful in various team setups. Sorry, I realized I didn't have all the super ECS actually on this tab, so I just fixed that quickly. Next we have TEQ Perfect Cell. So he's an orb changer, he's changing key speeds to TEQ. He is got scaling stats as well, so he's got his 50% attack and defense per orb, plus a 10% crit chance and damage reduction per TEQ orb. He's got built-in additionals, he can debuff the enemy and support his allies, and he's also got a nice little sustain. He does a 10% HP heal on every super that he does. So all around good unit as well. Moving on to 5 full power Frieza. He gets massive attack buffs, gets 150% attack at the start of turn, and then 300% attack and 150% defense on super. He's got strong damage reduction starting at 50% DR, but that does decrease by 10% per turn after turn 5. He's got some slot based bonuses, so an additional 30% DR in slot 1, and in slot 2 or 3 he's going to be getting an additional 150% attack and defense. So a guaranteed additional super if he's above 50% HP. And he's going to, below 50% HP, he's going to be getting guaranteed crits versus super class and effective against all types versus extreme class. As well as if there's a Goku unit, any Pure Saiyan unit that he's fighting against, he's going to get an additional 12 ki and 150% attack against that unit. So that's your Z tier and your S tier, the units I suggest you should be getting. The rest of the units down at the bottom here, to get them if you want them. They are not really, not that they're bad or anything like that, they're just not really as good as the Z tier and S tier units. I'll do a quick run by of each one, just 1 or 2 points very quickly on each as to why you might want to pick them up. So let's get into that quickly. Oh, and again, I haven't put these from left to right, these bottom ones. It's just a mix of the units. So first is TEQ Gotenks. He's going to have 50% damage reduction and 50% crit chance if all allies have picked up key spheres, and his key is 11 or less. And he's going to have a high chance to dodge with an extra 33% dodge on a super 12 key. So he can be a bit of a dodge or die unit. Next we have INT Gohan, who I don't actually have here, but I'll throw him up on screen. He's a good slot 2 or slot 3 unit, as he gets guard in those units. He builds up to extra defense, as well as he's a good super class support unit for his team. Next we've got PHY Goku Black. He is an orb changer and a nuker, however he does need to have all his category allies being super bosses, or need to be going against a Goku's family category enemy to really shine. He does stack up for every attack that he receives as well, his attack and defense as well as his ki, and every time the character receives at least 3 attacks in battle, he's going to be having an additional 20% critical chance. Moving on to STR Broly, he's got good scaling. He's going to be gaining up to 150% attack and defense, as well as up to 50% damage reduction by stacking supers, so he does need a super a lot to get those. He is an orb changer with a Pure Saiyans or Planetary Destruction ally. He does have guaranteed additional super and 50% crit chance for every 2 STR orbs that are attained, and he is a team support, boosting his allies' ki as well as attack. Super Saiyan 3 Goku is next. He's going to be having guaranteed first turn crits. He's got evasion and defensive growth built in, so he's got a medium chance to dodge with an extra 30% before attacking, and then a high crit chance for 3 turns after dodging with 150% defense. He's also got a team-wide crit buff, which can be very nice for the team. And lastly we have PHY Buu. So he's going to be getting a huge amount of attack and defense on super. He's got team support, he's giving ki +3 and 70% attack and defense to allies. He is got scaling crits and damage reduction, up to 40% crit chance and 40% DR by taking hits, and he's got a nice little 10% HP per turn after getting hit twice. So that was just a quick look at the Super EZA units and who I think you should be personally picking from these units. I know, I suppose it wasn't exactly quick, it was 12-13 minutes there, but I thought just give you a little in-depth look into them so you know what you're choosing. Obviously, you're always welcome to skip around this video and find what you need. I've got everything out in chapters. I'm not expecting everyone to sit through and listen to everything I have to waffle on about, but I'm here for anyone who wants to. So, next we're going to be looking at some allies. I'm not going to go into as big of a detail in the allies because most of them are not nearly as relevant as these Super EZAs. So I'll show you a couple that I think you should maybe look at, and obviously if you have all the Super EZAs already and you just want to grab some cool allies, that is always great. It's a single player game, you must grab what you think looks cool as well, or you've been dying to get a certain Broly unit or something like I was with some of my coins. Grab that unit and then have fun with your team. So yeah, let's jump into the allies now. So I thought I'd do the second part of the video a little bit different, do the allies a little bit differently, maybe a little bit more off the cuff, not so much have graphics ready and prepared and Z tier and S tier, because in all honesty, the units that I've given you, they do need a tier list because you need to know which ones are relevant, but with this, there's really only 2 or 3 allies that are actually super relevant and are going to matter much in your decision making. Everything else beyond those allies are going to be preference, or I think they look cool. So hype, which is absolutely fine, always fine to get units based on hype. I mean, it after all is a Dragon Ball game. So yeah, we're going to start from the bottom here as well, because that's where the majority of the allies are that are going to matter. So I'm not going to cover INT Gohan here. I've already covered him in the previous section and he is fantastic. Get him. Most of these are pretty much irrelevant now, and you have to EZA them to get anything out of them. The Goku Black and Zamasu unit is still good. He's alright. He can stack and build up when he takes hits. Problem being that Future is in a dismal state at the moment, so it's not really a team you can do very much with. Here's hoping that we get a Future Celebration or something eventually and we just EZA everything, because I want to run my Goku Blacks and my Zamasus and that's so badly. So yeah, I would definitely not skip, but not a great option there. These are completely skippable. Not really worried about any of these. I would say the first unit you want to start really taking notice of is this TEQ Broly. he is still relevant and he can still have an impact on Broly teams, so like movie bosses, uncontrollable power, those sorts of things. He can still be a great unit on those teams. His damage can be slightly conditional, needing to be in, I think it's attack down, something, some of these are. If we go and actually go to the EZA section here, yeah, I mean that is a pretty big boost, 50% attack damage, but yeah, when he gets off his transformation and you do his active net, he's going to do hundreds of millions of damage. He's still very much, he can be a little bit of a glass cannon, but once he gets his transformation, he gets guard, if I'm not mistaken. Guards all attacks with his 18 key, so you can hopefully float him, put him in the end slot, and then he's going to do so much damage on the Broly team that it is just hilarious. So definitely, that's an LR to get if you don't have him. Going up here, not really too stressed about any of these, not too relevant. Broly, Chila, and Lemo is another really good one. Very, very, very good support units. They do so much for so many teams. If you go in here and you actually see like key spheres obtained, what they're doing for all allies, key +2 and attack 30.9%, or key +2 and defense was 39%, depending on what key spheres you're getting. So he's a great support unit as well that you can throw on there. This is my baby here. This is my favorite LR in the game, I would say, one of them. Purely preference to get this. He can hit like a truck on future team. He can do 16, 20, 24 million damage on those teams. But again, like I said, future is pretty much dismal at the moment, so it's not really safe to get that. But he could, I mean, he has easy aid, but it's unlikely he's going to super easy aid anytime soon. But very cool unit nonetheless. Got a lot of these super easy aid units here that we have already covered. We're going to keep scrolling up until I can find any LRs that I think would actually be worth telling you about. I think the Monkey Boys are here pretty close. These two were really good with the temporary buff that came during 10th Annie, but unfortunately, as a lot of people thought that maybe they would stay, it was just temporary. So they're not terrible, but not worth spending coins on or anything like that, unless they're going to get a major buff in the future. But again, that could be, we're not able to know when that's going to be, so you would just be guessing pretty much. Further up here, we should have some more LRs. Okay, these two, again, they were the Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. They did get their EZAs, they were very dope, and then they had their temporary buff, just like I said, for those previous two units as well, for the Gogeta and the Vegito. They had their temporary buff and they were just blitzing through everything, but that was removed, so they are cool, not super relevant anymore, unfortunately, as much as we'd like them to be. So they're cool, but not really recommended for you to get them. And then I think there are a few more LRs up here as well. Cell is alright. He can actually be a bit relevant. He can go on some of these teams with his EZA. He doesn't just die, and his heal can actually save you quite a few times. When they EZA'd him, they made his heal not so difficult to get. I mean, he just doesn't have a ton of survivability beyond that. Yeah, so if HP is 40% below, I think it used to be 5% or something ridiculous. So, yeah, he's not a terrible option, not the greatest either. This Gohan could be a good option. He is not terrible at all, and he's a defensive stacker, so those are always good. He guards all his attacks when his HP is above 58%. Unfortunately, he's the meme of when do you ever see the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, unfortunately, because you are never going to run him on a team with Android 16. You need to specifically build a team for that, for him to actually come out, and unfortunately it's not going to be a viable team for any difficult content. So he's an alright pick as well. And then I think we should, these two EZA'd as well. These are not bad EZAs, they're pretty recent EZAs, so these are two good units as well. If you'd like to check them, they're cool, they do a lot of damage. Vegeta is far more defensively orientated, and Gogeta and Goku being the more offensive one. So you'll see here I think we get guard on Vegeta if we go in here. Boost, or is that when he boosts? I think that's when it is. Oh, you know what it is? It's because I haven't gone and actually gone into the EZA. Just remember, you do need to EZA these units if you get them. They're going to be fully awakened, but they're not going to be EZA'd. So you would need to do that. Okay, much better damage reduction in there, and I think there is guard. Okay, further damage reduction. So yeah, those two are pretty good units as well. Just make sure you EZA them. And lastly are Gogeta and Vegito, the fusions from 5th anniversary. So they are not irrelevant anymore. They are being power crept, unfortunately, but because of their kits, they can still be very relevant in the meta, because you can put them in 3rd slot. They're going to dodge, and then when they transform, they've got guaranteed dodge for a turn. So as 3rd attacker, great chance. That's a 70% chance of evading. So you could throw them in 3rd slot, and then when they do transform, they're both going to have guaranteed dodge for a turn, evading the attacks for 1 turn from the character's entry turn. So yeah, those are the LRs that we've gone through there. So I hope this video has been helpful. It has gone on a little bit long. I do apologize about that, but I did really want to cover as much of this as possible. I didn't want to just sift through and say maybe this one, maybe that one, maybe this one. I wanted to give a tier list and my thoughts. So yeah, if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you very much. I hope I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.